For more than a century, we have been told that humanity is the result of slow, gradual evolution, random mutations shaped over time by natural selection. And evolution explains much of life on Earth. But when we look at the human story specifically, something unusual appears. Modern humans enter the record around 200,000 years ago, already possessing the brain capacity, emotional range, and cognitive potential we recognize today. And genetically, we are essentially the same now as we were then. So what makes us uniquely human? The answer may lie in one extraordinary structure within our DNA, human chromosome number 2. Our closest primate relatives have 24 pairs of chromosomes. Humans have 23. The difference is not subtle. 2 complete ancestral chromosomes fuse together, end to end, forming what we now call chromosome 2, the second largest chromosome in the human genome. It represents roughly 8% of the DNA in every cell of our body. Within this chromosome are genes deeply associated with the development of the cerebral cortex, the region of the brain responsible for abstract thought, empathy, creativity, moral reasoning, language, and self-awareness, the qualities we define as human. Now consider what fusion actually means. Before the fusion, those 2 chromosomes were complete. Each carried its own full set of genetic instructions. When they joined, you would naturally expect overlapping functions, duplicated instructions, redundant coding, competing sequences. 2 complete systems suddenly merged into one. And yet, when scientists examine chromosome 2, they find something remarkable. Many of those overlapping or redundant functions are silenced. Some appear reduced, others are missing entirely. The chromosome does not look chaotic, it looks streamlined, optimized. As if, after the fusion occurred, the genome reorganized itself, turning off duplicate instructions, refining its structure, stabilizing the new configuration. This is where the mystery deepens, because the fusion alone is extraordinary. But the apparent refinement afterward raises a larger question. Was this merely a rare natural event, followed by random mutation? Or does it suggest intentionality embedded within the process? Now consider the probability of such an event. Chromosomal fusion at this scale is not a minor mutation. For 2 complete chromosomes to join end to end, remain intact, avoid catastrophic disruption, stabilize within a reproductive population, and then be inherited successfully across generations is already an event of staggering rarity. The odds of all of that aligning without destroying viability are extraordinarily small. But the deeper improbability is not simply that the fusion occurred, it is that it worked flawlessly. The newly formed chromosome did not destabilize the species. It did not trigger genetic collapse. It did not introduce systemic chaos. Instead, it became foundational to what defines us as human. For a fusion of this magnitude to occur naturally, then stabilize, then reorganize redundant genetic material, silence overlapping functions, and coincide with the emergence of expanded cognitive capacity, all within a relatively narrow evolutionary window, moves beyond ordinary statistical expectation. It represents a chain of highly coordinated outcomes, each one dependent on the other, each one improbable on its own. And beyond the fusion lies an even more profound question. How did the precise structure of human DNA, coding for language, symbolic thought, moral reasoning, empathy, and self-awareness, emerge in what appears to be such a compressed span of time? Highly complex, information-dense systems do not normally assemble themselves in a single leap. They do not reorganize, stabilize, optimize, and produce radically new levels of function without an enormous number of failure points along the way. When viewed together, the fusion, the stabilization, the refinement, and the rise of uniquely human cognition, the probability of this entire sequence occurring purely by accident becomes vanishingly small, not merely unlikely. but approaching statistical impossibility. And at that threshold, the explanation begins to shift. What looks like randomness starts to resemble intention, not chaos refining itself, but intelligence interacting with biology. Across indigenous traditions and ancient civilizations, including the Sumerians, we find stories describing humanity as the result of a deliberate act, formed from the dust of the earth, yet infused with something beyond it. A blending, a fusion, not just of biology, but of origin. In modern language, we might describe that infusion as extraterrestrial, not as science fiction, but simply meaning intelligence that did not originate exclusively on this planet. If life exists elsewhere in the universe, and many scientists now consider that likely, then the possibility that advanced intelligence has interacted with life on Earth cannot be dismissed outright. What if humanity represents a hybridization event, Earth-based life, combined with something more? The genetic fusion at chromosome 2 becomes symbolic of something larger, a biological reflection of a deeper story repeated across cultures worldwide. This perspective does not reject science. It builds from scientific discovery and asks whether the interpretation of that discovery has been limited. Because when we look at chromosome 2, when we look at the timing of modern human emergence, when we examine the sudden expansion of cognitive capacity, the questions remain. And perhaps the greatest evolution happening now is not biological at all. Perhaps it is the evolution of our understanding of who we are, where we came from, and what it truly means to be human.